Okay, welcome guys, it's Obi from Occupy News Network, Occupy London. This is actually Dewhurst from, Occupy Economics. What did you think about the whole, what they were talking about, what Occupy did back in 2011, and today, anniversary of the Lehman Brothers collapse?
Yeah, well, it's a great reminder of things that we too easily forget, and although we know things are bad, we tend to forget how bad and how shaky they still are. I'm really pleased that as Occupy we were called upon to provide a speaker explaining about this. We had heard a whole range of speakers pointing out all the damage which the incompetent financial policies of not only our government but governments around the world who have been reading the prayer book, the song sheet of the financial sector, continue to orchestrate and continue to make happen. On World Service Radio this morning, BBC, you had Stephanie Flanders, saying, hey, what they did was they took the politics out of economics, and really we need more of a Marxist approach because it's not an automatic system, it's people ripping us off. Around the world now, we have the world debt allegedly is about 273 trillion.
What?
Yeah, just give me let me give you a picture of that. A trillion is about £16,000 for every child, woman and man in this country. Before the crash, it was only 2003 trillion. Now, if that doesn't make you feel uncomfortable or scared, you really ought to be sort of reading this stuff up again, because what has been more or less articulated, but we can't get it too clear, is that the crash, the crisis, the freeze in any kind of economic development for most people is all about rent-seeking, financial extraction, whether that is literally on rents on land or whether it is a massive interest. The UK net wealth allegedly is about 9.8 trillion. Sounds a lot. Our financial assets, would you believe, are about 30.8 trillion. I'm quoting from the Spectator here, so they're probably wrong. Our debt is 1 trillion more. It's not 1 trillion, 1/10 of a trillion. That's only 100 billion more. In other words, there's people in this country, their wealth is your debt. And people talk massively about the effect on young people not being able to get homes to live in. And what we have to face is, we had the Occupy banner, root out usury there. We call it the finance sector. Let's get back to basics. It's a debt sector, and they are controlling the mass of the population by bringing them further and further into debt. It is not capitalism, it is financial feudalism that we are working back to. If they want capitalism, they are going to have to repay a lot of what they have taken, because just in the UK, the debt on housing and so on, that is what provides 80% of the finance sector in this country. Only about 3 or 4% is in manufacturing, and maybe the same in useful services and so on. So the young people here who have to sleep 4 to whatever unit and so on, they are, with the rent that is being extracted from them, the blood which is being extracted from them, they are the people who are holding up the city and the financial sector. In this country in particular, but around the world in general, that 273 trillion debt around the world, what does that work out to in per capita? For about the 7 and a bit billion people in the world, that is, I've been talking in dollars just then, but it's about £30,000 per child, woman and man in the world in debt. That is the grip around the, let's say, the more sensitive parts of the financial anatomy that these people have on the rest of the world. And how is that system going to go along? either we take back the wealth by taxation, by sorting out rent. We have got loads of land in this country. We've got nearly an acre for every person, but we have a tight market which only filters it on ever so slowly, forcing prices up. They're saying, more than half the wealth in this country is wealth in land. Now, what is that about? That is about those prices being ratcheted up. I mean, it's only 30% in most of the rest of Europe. There is so much wrong with the system. If you double the rents, you double the value of land. If you half the rents, you half the value of land. This is pretty close to economic nonsense. And what the financial elite, again, they were arguing this morning on Radio 4, were saying is that they still are singing from the same song sheet, the same recipes, the same patching up. Yeah, we may go through the next crisis, when Italy crumbles, or when China wobbles, or when an internet attack has a knock-on effect bringing things down on the world. But really it's about debt. It is about the financial elite, the top fraction of 1%, trying to get complete control of all the rest of us. And just to finish perhaps with one practical story, my second cousin was one of the guys working for Lehman Brothers 10 years ago who got sacked. He was a banker there, and he's now the managing director of another city bank. And talking to him a few months ago, he said, what's funny, Dave, I tell you, is that the people who are only worth a few million then, they're only worth about twice as much now. But the people who are worth 15 or 20 million, they're worth over 100 million now. It's kind of good, isn't it? I'm not sure how long this can last, but, we'll keep peddling. Now, either we are not going to have a crisis, and we are going to go back into financial feudalism, as sort of words has happened many, many times, or we're going to do something to practically take back that wealth. Will people put up with it? Will they put up with the will people watching this put up with it? They probably will, because we've been debt slaves many times before in our history. But just possibly, people will get together, they will refuse to pay these rents, they will refuse to have a system where these people don't pay their taxes and we do. And the whole set of courtiers for billionaires becoming the only sort of thing left in Cliff Break. Have I answered your question?
Yes, thank you so much. Okay guys, that's actually Obi, Dave Dewhurst.